Hello everyone, welcome back to the Crimson Diamond. So yeah, I went off a little bit longer than I had intended to in the first video. As usual, I found things to talk about and talked about things for longer than I should have. Um, and yeah, before we actually get into playing the game, I do want to take a moment to take a look at the user interface because there are some things. Yeah, I was going to look at this in the last video, but then I thought, okay, I already went on for too long, so I'll do it in the next video. So yeah, these options here that we have here in the menu, these are actually kind of cool, kind of interesting. These are not things that some of these are not things that I think I've seen in other adventure games like this. So the default is to have a graphical inventory. So this is the kind of, if I press tab, you get this. So this is the kind of inventory that later Sierra games had, where you have a little picture of everything in inventory, and if you click on it, you get a description. So this is our lucky mineralogist's loop. Interesting, the use of the word loop. This is basically, I guess it's the French word for a magnifying glass. But I'm not sure under what circumstances people would use this word instead of just saying magnifying glass. I mean, okay, it's kind of a... I guess it's the usual English word for something like this, because it's not a usual magnifying glass. This is something that you kind of put over your eye. It's not just something that you put over. A magnifying glass is something that you put over the object that you're trying to examine, whereas this is something that I guess you kind of put in front of your eye, kind of like a monocle. So I guess maybe a loop, this loan word from French, is the usual English word for that. Maybe it's just not something that I've ever seen, because most people don't use these kinds of devices. Most people just use regular eyeglasses if they need vision correction, and if they want to look at something, they'll use a regular magnifying glass instead of a loop. But yeah, this is our lucky loop. It's engraved with our name and attached to a handy lanyard. Great for getting a closer look at things, yes. And what do we have here? An issue of the Toronto Eye from a few weeks ago. The Toronto Eye is... gosh, it's been many years since I lived in Toronto, but I don't remember the Toronto Eye being a major newspaper. The big newspaper in Toronto is the Toronto Star. And then there's the Toronto Sun. I don't remember the Toronto... I remember the Eye being like an entertainment magazine than a newspaper. Is that wrong, or am I misremembering that? I don't know. Anyway, and this is our notepad, which we've already seen. It has notes in it, as is perhaps appropriate to do with a notepad. So cool. And then this is... yeah, so I guess the idea is that you use the Eye to get, just to get a basic description. You can use the loop to get a better look at things. Aren't you a clever girl? I'm going to guess that it said that because you can't use the loop on itself. That makes logical sense. But can we get a closer look at the... yeah, we can. We can get a closer look at the newspaper with the loop. You admire the minute dots that comprise the newspaper photograph of a round-cut diamond. That's what I'm describing the article be an octahedron, not a faceted specimen. What an embarrassing inaccuracy. I don't know what that means because I'm not a mineralogist, but I guess that... not Laura Bow, but Nancy, what's her name? Nancy Crimson? No. Wait, what's Nancy's last name? I forget. Nancy, let's just call her Nancy. I guess Nancy's a mineralogist, and so she knows about those embarrassing inaccuracies. And yeah, you can, your notebook doesn't benefit from closer examination. Okay. All right, so that's the graphical inventory. If you go to the text-based inventory, so yeah, it tells you type L to look at something, press E to examine it, and other interactions must be typed into the parser. So if we press tab now, we get this. So yeah, it tells you, I don't know why it told you in that, I don't know why it had to tell you press L to look and press E to examine, because it has it here in this window anyway. I guess it's just for extra user-friendliness. But yeah, you press L and you get these things that we saw before. That's basically like clicking the eye on something. And then if you press E, then yeah, that's like using the loop on something. So there we go. But in this case, pressing E actually brings the notebook up. It doesn't tell you that the notepad or the notebook doesn't benefit from closer inspection, as it did with the graphical inventory. So slight difference there. But yeah, I guess I'll stick with the graphical inventory just because, I don't know, it looks a little nicer. I mean, the text inventory is a little bit neater because everything is just in a nice list, but the graphical inventory looks more visually appealing, and since we're playing this game for fun, let's do something that looks a little bit nicer. So the next thing here, press and hold arrow keys to move or tap arrow keys to move. This is something that I personally appreciate a lot. This is not something that I don't think I've ever seen in any other adventure game that I can think of. I've probably played some adventure game that does this, but I can't think of one now, to be honest. Um, Tap arrow keys to move, which is what I've activated now. That is what most Sierra adventures had. So basically, the way this works is that if I press left, Nancy moves to the left, and if I press right, she moves to the right, and she keeps going. Like, I just tap the key, and she just keeps going. If I tap it again, she stops. So what I do is I'm going to tap right, and then tap again, and she stops. This was the usual control scheme in most Sierra adventures, both early and late stage Sierra adventures. They tended to use this convention. Press the key once to start, press again to stop. Okay, not bad, pretty standard. But the other option, and the default option here, is press and hold the arrow keys to move. So basically what you do now is, if I just tap, I'm going to tap right, and, well, it takes her a while to turn around. See, if I tap right, she doesn't move. She animates for one frame. So it like starts her movement animation, so you see her move because what it's doing is it's starting her animation loop, but then her animation stops immediately because she doesn't actually walk anywhere. So it's like she kind of starts walking but then stops. So what you have to do in this mode is you hold the key. So I'm going to hold down the right arrow key, and now she goes like that. If I hold left, she goes like that. But if I just tap left, she just kind of twitches like that, like she's dancing in place. Now, I personally, I'm just going to speak for myself. I personally like this a lot. I find that it lends a bit more immediacy to the feel. It's kind of like controls from arcade games, you know. Actually, does it work diagonally? Yeah, it works diagonally as well. You can use diagonal movement as well with the numeric keypad. So, excuse me. So, you know, arcade games have always had this. In any arcade game, if you want to move around, you hold the joystick, or if you're using a keyboard, you hold the keyboard key to move around. This was always how arcade games worked. But adventure games never really used this. They just somehow seemed like adventure game designers preferred to use the tap to move movement scheme. But I find that I prefer this because it lends more immediacy. Well, you can hold, that's nice, you can hold down two arrow keys. If you're using the inverted T cursor keys, as I tend to do, you can hold them down to get Laura to... I keep saying Laura. It's not Laura. This is Nancy. Probably a reference to Nancy Drew, even though she's not Nancy Drew. Her last name is... What is her last name? I forget. It's not Crimson, is it? I don't know. I forget. I keep wanting to say Laura... No, Nancy Crimson. Oh, man. I keep wanting... Why does she keep doing that? Oh, I think I tapped the mouse. I think I tapped the mouse movement cursor. I think I tapped the mouse. I tapped my touchpad by accident, and that made her want to walk over to where the cursor was. But yeah, I can't think of a single adventure game that I've played that actually has this kind of movement scheme where you hold down the keys to move. Maybe I've played one and just can't think of it now because I don't, necessarily memorize details like that. But this is something that I personally enjoy. If I ever made an adventure game, I would probably want to make it like this. And I think I actually made a demo game several years ago, like many, many years ago now. I made a very simple demo game that actually used this exact control scheme where you hold down the arrow key to move. And I like how it feels because it gives more immediacy to your movement. And if you want to, it feels, somehow it just feels more intuitive to me. It's a small detail, but to me it's a big deal, actually. To me it's actually something really important. And I find it very interesting that Julia included this in the game because this is something that, again, I've not seen in other games like this. So kudos to Julia for actually including this option. I appreciate it. I actually do appreciate that option. I'm going to use it because I like it. So yeah, what I was just saying about you. So Laura will walk to the mouse cursor if you click, and this is pretty similar to early Sierra SCI games. Again, like King's Quest IV, Space Quest 3, and so on. You had the mouse was basically for walking to places, but you didn't have the point and click. You didn't have the other cursors that later games had. So those games didn't have an eye cursor or a hand cursor or a talk cursor. They just had the walk function. And that's what we have here. So if you want to make Laura move to places, you can click on a place and she will actually move there. Her movement here is a little bit more sophisticated than in those SCI games because she will actually walk around obstacles. If I want to go here, if this were an early Sierra SCI game, Laura would just stop at the table because the table's in the way. But she actually is, she has a little bit of pathfinding. She can walk around obstacles. So it's a little bit more advanced than that. But it's just, yeah, it's click to move with the mouse. So you can deactivate that. You just turn that off, mouse click to walk off. And if you turn it off, then you have no mouse cursor. There's no mouse cursor in the game at all. The game has 0 mouse cursor. The mouse cursor just disappears completely from the window. So I'm going to leave that on because, you know, it can be handy. It can be handy. I mean, I appreciate having both movement schemes. I appreciate that I can click to move with the mouse, and I can also, if I want to, just tap the keyboard keys to move in straight lines or diagonal lines. I guess diagonal lines are also straight, but let's say orthogonal lines and diagonal lines. So yeah, I appreciate that those options are there. I actually really like that. Visual cue for notes, I'm not sure what this is. I don't think I've seen this yet. I'll leave that on because visual cues are useful. Cues are useful hints, obviously, so I'll leave that on. Oh yeah, and this is about the text box display delay. Let me show you what this does. So to contrast, I'm going to say look to get a description of the room. And we get a few messages here. We have a few, so that was, I guess, what, 4 messages? So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the delay so you see the difference. I'm going to say look again, and after I press enter to clear that, there's a little bit of a delay before the next message comes up. So press enter, and you have like a half-second delay before the next message comes up, like that. Why would that be useful? I don't know. The only thing I can think of is maybe if people are in a hurry or if they click too fast or press enter too fast, they might accidentally click through multiple boxes of dialogue or boxes of text. It happens to me sometimes. If I don't realize that there's another text box coming, then I might accidentally click through it. So I guess that's to help prevent you from doing that. If you want the option, it's there. I don't personally feel like it's that useful. Maybe maybe I don't understand what it's supposed to be used for, but I'll leave that turned off because, again, you know, I just don't find it useful. If you want it, the option's there. You can turn it on, but I don't personally feel like having it on. So actually, the defaults here actually are what I would use. It's actually kind of interesting that usually when I get into situations like this, I want to tweak everything. I want to, you know, fiddle with the settings until they're to my liking. But I actually find that all the default settings here are exactly what I would leave, what I would choose anyway. So bit of serendipity just kind of happens that you know, this is one of the reasons why I said that I feel like I should play this game. I feel almost like this game was made for me. It's kind of like the game sort of understands. I mean, the game doesn't understand anything, but I guess Julia sort of shares my preference for game interfaces. Okay, so I'm not going to touch the hint book. I don't want to get hints until I get stuck. It's nice that they're in-game hints. I'm assuming these are, oh, actually it says opens in browsers. I'm going to assume that this opens, you know, hints in a browser window, but I'm not going to do that until I get stuck in the game. And help is, oh yeah, oh boy, this. Get a load of this. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Unix, because you know, back in the day when Unix was the predominant operating system, or one of the predominant operating systems. You know, like even going back in the days before DOS, like before the 1980s, I guess, Unix tended to use very terse commands. Like it tended to use 2-letter commands for things. You know, there's like CD, which is, you know, still in Windows today, it comes from Unix. LS was basically, you know, list, like what is now dir in DOS and Windows. All those commands like that, like they didn't even have a copy, just copy was CP. Like everything was 2 letters. So they really wanted to make typing easy. They wanted to, I guess, make it fast to type commands. And so I assume that's why they did it. I assume they did it just because typing whole words would take too long and people wanted to be fast with their typing. So Julia's kind of done the same thing here. You can of course type look, as I did. You saw I typed the word look, but you can just say L for look. So let's try it actually. Let me get out of this for a second. If I just type L, yeah, it works just like typing look. So I don't know if I should get used to doing this because I feel like I might get spoiled if I do this. I'm going to feel like doing this all the time. I'm going to wonder, why can't I do this in other games? This is one of those things where it's like, it's so convenient. It's such a convenience to be able to type. Like yeah, they have examples here. OD for open door. I'm gonna I'm gonna get used to just typing OD in this game, and then when I play other games, I'm gonna say, why can't I just type OD? Why do I have to type open door? That's so wasteful. That's so annoying. Annoying. So I'm gonna try not to rely on these shortcuts too much, just because I think I might get used to them, and that will like spoil me for playing any other game again. But again, much appreciated. The options are there. I appreciate that Julia actually went to the trouble of including like these one-letter commands for the most common things in adventure games and documenting how they work. So very cool. Thank you, Julia. Very cool. I think that's all I have to say. I mean, sound and music volume are obvious. Game speed. I assume this is your walking speed. Obviously, Laura walks a lot more. Nancy, not Laura. Nancy walks a lot more slowly when you have the game speeds turned down. I guess the default speed is pretty decent. It was what, around here roughly, so that seems okay. I guess that's it. I guess I'm done explaining the user interface now and all the things that go into it. Yeah, so other than using the mouse to walk, as long as you have the mouse click to walk turned on, that's about all you can do with the mouse in the main game screen. Everything else is done with the parser. So yeah, what can I say? As I said in the previous video, I am very pro-parser. People have said I'm very pro-parser, and I would agree with that. I confirm and affirm that I am pro-parser. But I think even I would not have the guts to release a game like this commercially without a point-and-click interface. I would include both options. I would have the point-and-click interface for people who wanted it, and I would include the parser for people who wanted it. So I would have both options. But Julia has gone the extra mile and actually completely omitted the point-and-click interface, except for this walk function. Everything else is done with typed commands like that. I'm not going to say that's a mistake. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I do think it kind of limits the game's audience somewhat. I mean, this is a commercial game. This is not a free game. This was released on Steam. I think it costs money, probably. I don't actually, you know what? I'm not sure. I assume it costs money. So I would be hesitant, let's say. I would probably not release a commercial game without point and click, just because I know that most people would want it. And I think that you are kind of limiting the audience of people who are going to play this game and want to pay for this game if you don't even include that as an option. I would prefer to include both options, because one thing that I always love, one thing that I almost always say is, I like having lots of options like this, and you can hardly go wrong with giving the user or the player options, because if they don't like something, they can change it. If you don't like the mouse click to walk, you can turn it off. If you want, you can turn it on. If you don't like the graphical inventory, you can change it. If you prefer the graphical inventory, you can turn it on. You can change it. So giving the user these options. I mean, a game is a work of art. A computer game is partly a work of art. The graphics and the story and the music and everything that it is a work of art. But it is also a computer program, and as a computer program, it should have functionality. It should function in a way that makes it nice to use, easy to use. And in my opinion, having options is usually a good thing for the user, because it lets them change things how they want it. So I appreciate what Julia's done here. I personally don't mind playing with the parser. I personally like it, but if I personally had made this game, I think I would have probably included a point-and-click interface, just because, again, it would open the game up to more people, because I think there are a lot of people who are going to avoid playing this game, or they're going to play it for like 10 minutes and then stop because they don't like the parser and want to point and click. But that's my opinion. I respect Julia's decision. It was obviously a deliberate design decision to not have point and click. I'm not going to complain about it, because I like the parser anyway, but I think that for other people it might be a hindrance, might be a bit of a damper on their experience with the game. Anyway, sorry, I know I've gone on for 20 minutes just about the user interface. I'm sorry. I apologize. I really should get on with the game. You know what I realized? I think I realized recently that I am an actual narcissist. Like, not even joking. I think I am a pathological narcissist, and I think I enjoy talking and having people pay attention to me, which is probably one of the reasons why I talk so much, because I like people paying attention to me. So I'm actually probably like an actual narcissist, which is not good, but at least I guess it's good that I recognize it. At least it's good that I understand that about myself now. Anyway, apologies. Let's get into the game. Now it's time to seriously play the game. So let's look around. So this is the bedroom we're sharing with Kimi. There are a pair of twin beds and matching nightstands against the east wall. I like how the game uses this convention of, I mean, this is typical in adventure games. East is the right side of the screen. It might not necessarily be the compass direction east, but for ease of player navigation, they use east to mean the right side of the screen. So, and north is obviously, towards the top, towards the back of the room and so on. So Kimi's claimed the bed closest to the fireplace, declaring one apart as the summer nights are still chilly this far north. Aha. Clever girl. A door in the west wall leads back into the upstairs hallway. Kimi is here. So I guess this is kind of like, this is very obviously heavily inspired by the Colonel's Bequest. I mean, this is very obviously Laura Bow and, what was her name? Lillian? I think the name, gosh, I don't remember the names. I think this was Lillian in the original game. So obviously Julia has changed the names and some of the settings. When I first played the demo, I think those of you who've seen my video of the demo that I played years ago, I think my main objection, like my first objection to the game was, this looks like a port. It looks like it's literally just like a remake of the Colonel's Bequest. Well, I was wrong. It's not a remake. It is a spiritual, I don't know if I should say successor. It is very heavily inspired by the Colonel's Bequest, no doubt about it. It's very obviously inspired by it, but it is its own game. It has its own story, it has its own characters, it has its own settings. So yeah, the initial setting and characters bear a strong resemblance to some characters from the Colonel's Bequest, but this is its own game. So don't feel like this is just a copy. It's not just a copy, even if it looks like one at first. Anyway, but one thing that has in common with Colonel's Bequest is that you start off the game by kind of looking around and getting to know people. The real story doesn't start until later. I'm guessing, I mean, I haven't played this game very far, so I don't really know how the game progresses, but I'm guessing that, as in the Colonel's Bequest, you start off by getting to know the different people, talking to the people, exploring the different rooms in the mansion, and, once you've kind of gone to different places and seen the layout of the place and gotten to know the different people, then the real story starts. I'm assuming that's how it works. That would make sense to me because that's how it worked in the original Colonel's Bequest. So let's go ahead and interact with Kimi since she's here. Kimi Kishiro is a petite Asian lady in her late 30s. She's ruggedly dressed in knickerbockers and sensible shoes. She seems shy and doesn't reveal much about herself. During the train ride, you managed to glean that her family immigrated from Japan in the 1870s. Kimi's writing her sketchbook with a pen. All right. Can we talk to Kimi?
I've never been to a place like this before. I'm excited to explore, and I love meeting new people.
Yes, you are the inquisitive type, aren't you? Jack did invite you to introduce yourself to everyone else, after all. It's only polite.
I most certainly am. Would you like to join me?
No thanks, Nancy. I'm exhausted. That bumpy ride from the train station has left me a bit frazzled. I'm looking forward to some peace and quiet before dinner.
I can take a hint. I'll leave you be.
Oh, one more thing. While you were asleep, Jack mentioned some old lodge brochures stored in the curio cabinet's drawer. They were meant for guests back when the lodge was used as an inn. Even though we may not stay long, he said we're welcome to take them as keepsakes.
Thanks, Kimi.
Cool. The notebook will track your progress through your goals. Now you've talked to Kimi. It's marked with an X in your notebook. Okay, so... Right, so our goals are to talk to these different people here, but since we've already talked to Kimi, now we've noted that with an X. It would make... Well, I'm thinking a little bit too digitally here. I was going to say it would make sense if it would also remove the names here from the list after we finish talking to the people, but this is supposed to be like a paper notebook, and obviously you can't just... Well, you could erase it. I mean, if not Nancy, but... Wait, no. She is Nancy. Sorry. I was going to say not Nancy, but Laura, but no. Sorry, not Laura, but Nancy. Wow, I'm going to mix that up the whole game, aren't I? I'm going to keep mixing up those names the whole game, I think. Nancy, if she had an eraser, she could erase the name Kimi to kind of note that that's done, but I guess, it's not like it's not like a Windows notepad where you can just delete the text. You can't really just like delete what's here, so I guess she decided to leave. She could have crossed it out or something, but okay. We talked to Kimi anyway. And there's a note here to open the curio cabinet, then search the door and take the brochure. All right, where's the curio cabinet? I'm assuming that's not this thing here. The fancy looks... Oh, I guess this is I guess this is the curio cabinet. The fancy glass-paned curio cabinet is full of fine items. They are intricately decorated silver steins. Catches your eye. What is a stein? Oh, these things. These, like a beer stein. Big drinking mugs. Okay. Can we open the... Oh, you know what I should do? I think the game understands cupboard as CU. So I'm going to say O space CU for open cupboard. Oh, it's locked. All right.
But I can see some lovely objects in there, particularly beautiful matching pair of decorated silver stands.
All right, I'm going to assume that means we will need to get those silver steins later, but not now. Let's take a look at the table here. There's a vase of flowers on the low coffee table. Can we take the flowers? Are a pretty decorative accent that brightens the room. You decide to leave them alone. All right, can we take the vase? You really need to have a vase on your person. All right. I mean, obviously you can't take the vase without disturbing the flowers, but I just wanted to see what the game would say. Can I get the sketchbook? I mean, I'm going to assume that Kimmy won't just let us take her sketchbook, but let's see what happens if we try. Either there's near or see no need for that. All right. Can we look at the... Kimmy has a book on birds over the table in front of her and a couple more dog-eared bird books stacked on top of each other. All right. Can we get the books? You don't need any bird books besides they look heavy. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at the fireplace here. It's a fieldstone fireplace. Gosh, I'm feeling kind of inadequate because I don't know what fieldstone means. I mean, I guess it's a type of stone. I'm going to assume that that's the type of stone that it's made of, but I don't know what fieldstone is. Just a guess. So it'd come in handy on chilly nights. There's a fireplace tools stand next to it. There is some powdery soot accumulating in the fireplace. That's okay. That's a dead giveaway that we need to get the soot. You take some of the soot. Well done. That's nice. Thanks, game. Thanks for telling me that it's well done. All right, we have some soot. It's a fine black powder. Let's look at it with the loop. You don't want to soil your lucky loop by using it to examine the soot. Soot. I know it's soot, but it almost sounds like a rhyme if you say loop and soup. Not soup, suit. It would rhyme if you said loop. Wait, how do you pronounce this? Is it loop? Or is it loupe or something? Is it actually, because it's some French word, maybe it's, no, there's no accent over the E, so it's probably not loupe, it's probably just loop. Loop. I don't know. Je ne parle pas le français. Okay, let's take a look at this stand here with the tools in it. The fireplace stand holds a shovel and a poker. Can we get the shovel? It's needed for proper care and maintenance of the fireplace. Okay, but there's no fire, so we don't really need to maintain anything right now. What about the poker? The poker might poke through your pocket and puncture your leg. Oh, come on, it's an adventure game. Inventory items just disappear into inventory space. Can we get the wood from... I'm going to assume not. Let's try getting the wood from the fireplace. Okay, it's not. All right, fine. Let's take a look at this sofa. Is it a sofa or a couch? What's the difference between a sofa... You know, I'm not good with furniture. What is the difference between a sofa and a couch? I'm assuming there's a difference, but I don't know what it is. I think a sofa is larger, probably, but I'm not sure. Huh. Community looks like it would be a nice place to do some reading. All right. Let's sit. You sit. Okay, you sit down. That's true. She did. Is there a pillow on the bed? There's a nice little pillow. There's a pink and yellow striped pillow on the window seat. All right. Can we get the pillow from the window seat? Stand up first. Really? Okay. Why can't I take the pillow while sitting down? I don't think sitting inhibits or prohibits my ability to take a pillow. In deference to the comfort of future occupants, leave the pillows alone. All right, well, that's very respectful. All right. Is this a trunk or oh, this is probably not Lillian's, Kimmy's. I'm going to do the whole game, I think. This is probably Kimmy's suitcase. Kimmy's battered suitcase is made from hard-wearing, full-grain leather. Let's do the Laura Bow thing and open the suitcase. Please don't touch my things. All right, that was a respectful enough response to us trying to open her suitcase. All right, fair enough. That was a measured response, I would say. What about the night table? Oh. Can't use night in this game? What is it then? Is it a... Hold on. What is it? If it's not... Oh, nightstand. All right. Let's look at the nightstand. A pair of binoculars. Oh, next. Oh. Can we get the binoculars? I'm going to assume... Nah, they're probably Kimmy's binoculars, but let's see what happens.
Please don't take those. I need them for my bird watching.
All right, that was a That's fair. Can we check this nightstand? There's a small lamp on it. I'm assuming we can't get the lamp. You need neither lamp nor the pair of them. They're perfect as they are. I think if you need neither lamp, then it's implicit that you also don't need the pair of them. I think that's kind of a logical syllogism. It's like Nancy doesn't need lamp A. Nancy doesn't need lamp B. That means she also doesn't need both of them. All right, fine. Look under bed. You have an intense fear of dust bunnies and can't bring yourself to do so. You don't see anything noteworthy. Get into bed. You don't sleep right now. What if you missed dinner? What time is it? I don't even know. We don't have any. There's no clock here. There's no way of telling time. All right. What about this table here? There's a vase of flowers. No, not that table. Not the table where Kimmy's sitting. This little table here. I mean, there's obviously nothing on it, so okay, fine, but whatever. Look at the pictures. A triptych of small woodcuts on colored paper hang in silver frames. No, I don't know what a triptych is. I've seen the word, but I couldn't tell you. If you asked me what is a triptych, I couldn't really tell you what it is. Couldn't define it. Sorry. A black and white photograph of a mountain hangs over the fireplace. All right. Yeah, I mean, I saw that's a mountain, but I couldn't really tell what these are. Well, I still don't know what they are. They're triptychs, but what is a triptych? I don't know. All right, let's try this. So can I say OD for open door? Yes, I can. Oh, and she doesn't. That's interesting. That's interesting. She doesn't automatically walk through it. That's an interesting design decision as well, because normally when you say open door, the character would just automatically walk through the door, but here you have to still walk through the door after opening it. It's not bad. It's just an interesting design decision. Okay, I'm assuming these are the tutorial things that I could have turned off on the title screen. But anyway, type help or H to open the help window. There is a list of parser shortcuts to simplify using the parser. For example, OD means open door. We already read that, but it's nice of the game to let us know in case we didn't find the help screen yet. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at this painting. A masterful oil painting is framed and hung at the end of the upstairs hallway. The plaque reads L. Harris. Okay, cool. Can you look at the lamps on the wall? The hall sconces provide a surprising amount of illumination. Their flickering candlelight casts a warm glow. The carpet. There's a long, well-worn wool carpet covering the hardwood floor is dyed purple and has a scalloped pattern woven into it. Okay. Can we open this? Oh, not open door, but OD. I guess we're going to trespass into somebody else's room now. Okay, the room's empty anyhow. Whose room is this? This is the master bedroom. Mr. Richards shares it with Margot. You feel a little weird about invading their private space. There is a wardrobe and nightstands to the left and right of the bed. There are two doors in the south wall and a door in the east wall leading back into the hallway. All right. So let's see. Oh yeah, that's also an interesting design decision. Again, it's not bad. I understand why it's doing this. It's just I've never seen this before. So you can see what happens is when we walk behind one of these doors, the door becomes see-through. Like it becomes sort of like a line drawing kind of skeleton see-through door. And the point of that is just so you can see where Nancy is walking. It makes sense. I've just never seen a game do that before. So again, it's like this game does a lot of things like that which they're not bad. Like I'm not complaining. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just interesting that Julia actually thought of this and actually went to the trouble of, hiding the doors or kind of making the doors see-through when you're standing behind them so you can see where you are standing. It's a nice idea. I'm not complaining. It's actually a cool idea. I actually like the idea. I've just never seen that before. Let's see. Let's take a look at the bookcase here. There's a variety of books on many subjects. Most of them are in French. Oh. Why are they in French? We're in Northern Ontario, right? We're not in Quebec, so I would expect, I guess the person who has this room is French, probably French speaking, but okay, can we take some books? Bored already? No, I'm not bored, can we read the books? Oh, you don't know how to read French. Un-Canadian. All right, can we open this cupboard here? Open CU. Yes, we can. Just go through everybody's cupboards and look at their stuff. A lovely wardrobe with a curved top. Do I need to say look in cupboard? Needs a few garment bags and folded up pairs of overalls. Let's get some overalls. Let's play Space Quest 3. They're neither your size nor your style. Okay. Close the cupboard. Let's take a look at this fireplace mantle. What's on it? It has a vase and a picture frame on it. Can we get the vase? As appealing as you find this vase, you'd already someone would welcome such an action. That's true. Can we get the picture frame? You haven't got a photo to put in it. Well, we can get one. Get the frame first. The picture frame is empty, and the vase is pale blue with... Wow. This game is going to make me feel bad about my personal vocabulary because I have no idea what Craquelure is. Okay, I've already been playing for 35 minutes. Wow, time really flies. Holy cow. I feel like I'm just getting started. I mean, I am just getting started. I've been going for 35 minutes. Well, that's because I talked for like half an hour again about the user interface. I'm going to stop here then, but before I go, let's take a look at what Craquelure is. I can't even pronounce it, man. Craquelure. Dude, man, I'm trying to look this up online. I can't spell it properly. Craquelure. Okay, third try. Craquelure. Here we go. The distinctive pattern of hairline cracks in the surface of an old painting. There you go. That's what craquelure is. Okay. Yeah, if you look at old paintings, they have craquelure in them. Obviously, it's a French word. What's the etymology? Let's see. It's in French. It's from craquelure and ure. What is craquelure? I guess crack. Yes, to crack. Reflexive to crack. Okay. So it's crackiness. Yo, man, this painting on crack. Actually, no, sorry. It's a vase, not a painting. Yo, man, this vase on crack. All right. Well, gosh. Okay. We made pretty good progress. We've seen 3 screens from the game so far. Like maybe 2.5 because I've only examined like half of the screen so far. So I guess that's pretty good progress for me. I'm sorry. I know I take a long time to get started, but once I get started, I actually get pretty well going. So I think hopefully the next video will go a bit faster. It's just because this time I spent so much time talking about the different options in the user interface menu. So next time, hopefully, we'll see more of this game. I'm going to leave this Craquelure vase here, and yeah, that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you next time with more of the Crimson Diamond. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.